Hey everybody, come on in. Listen, I want you to go ahead and get settled. Grab your water or whatever you're drinking today. I've got my water right here. And let's just pretend like I'm just sitting in your kitchen across from you right now. All right, and we're gonna just talk for a bit. I want to tell you about a Tuesday morning, okay, a few weeks ago. Nothing, crazy happened or anything like that, but that's actually the point. I was making my lunch before I left for an appointment. It was grilled chicken. I had a scoop of rice, some vegetables. I roasted the night before, and I had my little kitchen scale sitting on the counter the way I have for years, okay? And I went to portion everything out, and I noticed that my jaw was clenched. My shoulders, they were up by my ears. I was moving fast because I was already running a little bit behind, and I was still stopping mid-rush to get the number exactly right on the scale. And I had this moment where I sort of stepped outside myself and watched what I was doing. 20 grams of rice, not 19, not 21, chicken weighed to the ounce, and I thought, this thing I am doing in the name of taking care of myself is right now, in this exact moment, the thing that is stressing me out. So I put the scale down and I didn't pick it back up. That's not a productivity hack. That's not a let go and trust yourself platitude either. I promise you, I'm not going to spend the next few minutes telling you to just relax and everything will be fine, because that's not useful and it's not true. What I want to do today is actually explain to you mechanistically why that scale sitting on my counter was doing something to my body, and why, if you're one of the women who tracks things, this might be doing the exact same thing to yours. And then I want to walk through what's actually happening with your blood sugar this month of August, because there's a reason it's showing up now in August, whether or not you've changed a single thing about how you eat. Okay, so let's get into it, y'all. The thing nobody tells you about tracking, here's what I want to name first, because I think it gets skipped over constantly in the wellness world, right? If you are someone who tracks food, steps, sleep, water, weigh-ins, whatever your version of it is, there's an assumption baked into that behavior. And it's, usually invisible to you because you've been doing it so long. The assumption is, if I get this precise enough, if I control this variable tightly enough, my body will finally behave the way I want it to. For some women, in some seasons of life, tracking is just information. It's neutral. It's a tool. I'm not telling you tracking is inherently bad. I want to be really clear about that, because I know some of you are going to hear this and think I'm telling you to throw out every system that's ever worked for you, and I'm not, okay? That is not what I'm saying. What I am telling you is this. If your nervous system is already running hot, and I'm going to explain in a minute why hers almost certainly is right now, then one more thing you have to measure and get exactly right is not neutral. It is not just information anymore. It becomes one more signal landing on a body that is already on high alert, confirming the thing that body already believes, which is something here needs to be controlled, or is going to go wrong. And a body that already believes it's under threat does not calm down because the number was accurate. It doesn't say, oh, good, 20 grams exactly. I can stand down now. If anything, the vigilance it takes to get the number right adds to the vigilance that's already running the show. I want you to actually sit with that for just a second, okay? Because I think a lot of you have never separated tracking is helping me from tracking has quietly become one more task convincing my body it's in danger. Those can look identical from the outside. Same scale, same app, same spreadsheet, completely different thing happening underneath. I want to give you 3 questions, okay? Now, I want you just to answer them honestly in your head. You don't have to, type anything unless you want to. Number 1, when you're logging food or weighing something or checking a number, is there a flicker of anxiety involved? Even small, even something you've stopped noticing because it's been there so long. Number 2, if you get the number wrong, does something in your body react before your mind even forms a thought about it? A tightening, a dip, a flash of something close to shame. And number 3, has the tracking outlasted the reason you originally started it? Meaning you started for a real reason, maybe a good one, and somewhere along the way it became compulsive instead of useful, and you're not totally sure when that shift happened. Now, if you said yes to 2 or 3 of those, I am not diagnosing you with anything today, okay? But I want you to hold on to that, because what I'm about to explain is going to connect directly to it. Now, why this month specifically? Let's talk about timing, because this matters more than people think. It's August, back to school month. And here's the thing. Even if you don't have kids in school, even if that's not your household at all, this is the month where everyone else's calendar resets around you. Clients come back from summer, slow down, expecting things immediately. Schedules that were loose for 2 months suddenly have hard edges again. Carpool lines, supply lists, first week logistics, everyone else's non-negotiables landing on your calendar all at once. So walking into this month, her nervous system is already carrying more than it was carrying, say, 3 weeks ago. And that's the piece that actually explains what's happening with her blood sugar right now. Not what she ate for lunch on Tuesday. Okay? All right. Here's the part I want you to actually remember. Because this is the piece that changes how you think about all of this. Cortisol's job, in part, is to make glucose available to you. Fuel, basically, for whatever your body has decided you might need it for. Something to fight, something to outrun, something to get through. So in a response to a stress signal, your liver releases glucose into your bloodstream on its own, independent of whatever you've eaten a single bite of sugar that day, right? Your liver doesn't check your food log before it does this. Now, in a well-regulated system, that's fine. It's a normal, healthy mechanism. You get a stress signal, cortisol goes up, glucose gets released, you use it. Everything settles back down, insulin clears what's left. That's the system working exactly as designed. The problem shows up when cortisol isn't spiking and settling, it's just elevated chronically, day after day, because your calendar has become the stressor instead of a single identifiable event. If that's happening, your liver is putting out more glucose than usual, more consistently than usual, and your insulin has to work overtime to clear it. And when insulin is working overtime constantly over weeks and months, it starts to lose some efficiency at that job. That's the beginning of a pattern a lot of you already recognize in your own body, even if nobody's ever explained the mechanism to you. Midsection weight that doesn't respond to diet or exercise the way it used to. An energy crash, say 45 minutes to an hour after a meal that was genuinely well balanced, joint stiffness or skin reactivity or bloating that seems to have no clear trigger. And this is what I want to really land for you today. You can weigh that lunch down to the gram and it will not touch this. because the driver was never sitting on your plate. It's upstream of the plate. It's your calendar, it's your sleep, it's a nervous system that has decided this is a threat season and is going to keep producing glucose accordingly, whether your macros are perfect or not. There's also a piece of this that goes beyond just glucose and insulin. And I want to name it because it's the reason this particular pattern comes with inflammation attached. The joint stiffness, the skin stuff, the puffiness, some of you are dealing with, all right? When insulin resistance is running in the background like this, it's not a quiet, isolated process. It recruits inflammatory signaling. Now, the research points to specific pathways like the TNF alpha and IL-6, okay? Chemical messengers your immune system uses that end up interfering with how your cells respond to insulin in the first place. So it becomes a loop. The inflammation makes the insulin resistance worse, and the insulin resistance produces more inflammation. One fire feeding itself. I'm not saying that to overwhelm you with vocabulary, okay? I'm saying it because I want you to understand that this is not a willpower problem, and it was never going to be solved by weighing the chicken more precisely. Now, I want to share this with you guys, okay? I had a client a while back, I don't know, about 2 years ago, and I'll change some details, but the pattern will be familiar to a lot of you, okay? She came to me, she was exhausted, she was frustrated, she had done everything right by every standard the diet industry had ever handed her. She tracked meticulously, her macros were dialed in, exercised consistently, and her midsection weight had not moved in over a year, and if anything, it had crept up slightly, all right? And she felt like she was losing her mind because on paper, she was doing everything correctly. What we found when we actually looked at her whole picture and not just her food log, we found a woman who had been running a household, a part-time job, aging parents, all at the same time for about 4 years, I believe. She was sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night most of that time and had never once addressed the stress piece because nobody had ever told her that was where to look. She was up whenever the first demand of the day hit. She was out of the bed, she was up. She ate lunch whenever there was a gap, right, in her morning chaos, which meant anywhere between 11 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was no consistency at all, what I'm saying. And she was still every single day tracking her food with more precision than anyone in her situation should reasonably be expected to maintain. So we didn't change her diet much at all in the beginning, okay? We addressed the nervous system piece first, a fixed point in her morning. Protein before she looked at her phone, a sequence to bring her baseline cortisol down before we touched anything about her plate. The blood sugar response started shifting before the food changed, okay? I want you to know that because the food was never the actual lever. The objection I know some of you are having right now, I can hear some of you thinking, okay, but surely what I eat still matters. Yes, completely. I'm not telling you food is irrelevant. What I'm telling you is that food applied on top of an unaddressed cortisol problem produces partial results that don't hold. You might see something for a few weeks and then it drifts back and you conclude you just need to try harder when actually you needed to sequence it differently from the very beginning or from the start. Nervous system first, then the metabolic piece. Not because the food doesn't matter, y'all, but because the order matters. And most of us were never taught that order exists at all. What actually helps, this is what actually helps. Start with one fixed point in your morning that has nothing to do with output. Not checking your email first, not opening your phone first. Something as small as 5 minutes of stillness or stepping outside before you do anything else, before the day gets its hooks into you. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's a cortisol intervention, even though it doesn't look like one. Consider that good enough. Eating without the scale, without the internal argument about whether it's exactly right, may genuinely be doing less damage to your blood sugar this month than perfect eating while your body thinks it's under threat. That's not permission to stop caring about what you eat. It's permission to stop treating precision as the lever that's going to fix a pattern that was never coming from the plate to begin with. And if you noticed yourself answering yes to those questions earlier that I asked earlier, the anxiety, the reaction to getting it wrong, the tracking that's outlasted its original purpose, I want you to at least consider that the vigilance itself might be part of what you're trying to fix, not a tool that's helping you fix it. All right, y'all. If you've been doing everything right on paper and it still isn't holding, right? I want you to ask yourself honestly whether the sequence has been backwards. Whether you've been trying to perfect the food before you've ever touched what's actually driving the response to it. Now, I will tell you, this is exactly what my tri-shift protocol is built around. Cortisol first, then the metabolic sequencing in the order your biology actually asks for it, not the order the diet industry hands you, okay? If you want to know whether this is your pattern, my quiz is free and it takes about 4 minutes, depending on you. And I will put that link in the description, okay? Now, the how applied to your specific pattern is inside of our free online community. Now, that's where we go next with this. I'll see you next week. Until then, take care and do good work.